Okay, we are back. This is for my Algebra 2 students. We just did it today in class, and I said I'm gonna do this video because completing the square is tedious. I would say it's tedious. It's not the most straightforward thing out there compared to like quadratic formula as an example. Quadratic formula is kind of tedious, but this is doable if you deal with the negative numbers. If you deal with the square root properly, you should be fine. However, completing square is a totally different type of games. You need very precise procedures to get to your answer, and so I said I'm gonna do it right after school today, so I'm gonna keep my promise, especially for students who are absent. We had a few students absent today, so if you were not in school today and you missed this lesson, and completing the square is going to be the topic we are on for the next few times, at least for another lesson or two. And so if you missed this, I would recommend you to at least check this out, especially the homework assignment. And for people who were with me today, when you're doing the assignment, at least come back and have a look and see if you remember all the procedures or not. This is not really that simple. Okay, so completing the square in class, I actually said you have to look at your quadratic equation, which is, this is one of them. Quadratic equation is actually in the form of ax squared, let's write it out, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So this is a standard form. Standard form is saying that the coefficient a is equal to 1, the coefficient b is going to be 6, coefficient c is going to be 7. Alright, and for completing the square, one of the coefficients is very important. The most important one is actually b. So everything starts with b, and you are going to use this variable, this coefficient, to help us to form that perfect square. And let me just describe that a little bit. In order to do this, on our very first example in class, we actually said we are going to just look at these two variables, the x squared and the x. Completing the square is basically a process such that after a few steps, this part is going to turn into a perfect square. It's going to turn into something called a perfect square. And there are a few reasons for it. After the perfect square, we can do a square root on both sides, and we are going to get rid of certain items. 1 second, wait, okay, sorry, I had to stop for a little bit. So the perfect square, once we get that, then we can do a square root on both sides of the equation, and then we will somehow get to two values for the x. So just like any other type of quadratic equation, you're going to get the x value, it come out a couple times. Okay, it could be the same points, but as far as our concern, solving quadratic equation is finding the value of x. Okay, so let's dive in, just in case you know, all these talks is just, it's not helping anything. It's just I'm talking about a whole bunch of math. But you possibly here want to know what you have to do. So we are going to find out what we have to do. So as I said, the most important coefficient for this calculation is the value of b. So I want to find out what b is. So a is 1, my b is going to be equal to 6. So you're always going to be going through these 3 steps in the beginning. So first of all, you want to pick up what's your b. So you have to find out what is your b, first step. So in the equation like this, whichever coefficient, whichever number is attached to your x is going to be your b. Second step, you're going to have b divided by 2. So second step, b divided by 2. So after you pick up the 6, you're just going to have like 6 divided by 2, you're going to have 3. Step 3. Whatever you have from the second step, you're just going to give it a square. Alright? So in our scenario, it's going to be 3 square. So these 3 steps would be something that I would recommend you guys to do. Write it somewhere in the beginning of your learning with completing the square. Just write down the b, divide it, square that thing. So, write it somewhere. This is the thing you're going to use. So at the end, after these 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, the third step, this is the one you are going to use for the rest of your equations. So now we have this. Let me rearrange the equation a little bit. So I want to do a completing the square on this x squared plus 6x. So x squared plus 6x. This 7 I don't really like it sitting there. I would move this 7 to the other side. Okay, because remember that completing square is based on the x squared plus 6x. So it's based on these 2 variables. It has nothing to do with the c. I would move the c. Some people like to keep the c over there. It's up to you. I would personally move it. Okay, so after this, we are going to do the completing the square. We are trying to make this x squared plus 6x into that parenthesis form. So what you need to do is start writing this, copying that x squared plus 6x. You are going to add whatever you just did before, this parenthesis. So that's why I suggest you to write this down. You go through all this list, you're going to use this. You're going to add this at the end. So you're going to add that 3 squared at the end. We haven't finished our equation, so we have to finish it. After adding that, I have equal, why is it red? It should be this color. Sorry. So it should be -7. I'm just copying that. Now, in class, I actually really stress this point. Whenever you add something to your equation, you have to add it to the other side. The reason for that is, is just to be fair. Okay? If I add a 9 over here, I would definitely want to add the 9 on the other side. So don't make that mistake. Otherwise, it will not come out right. Okay? If you don't add this 9, you have a -7. So when you get to the perfect square, basically I'm going to show you now, the perfect square is, I'm sorry, I keep using the wrong color. The perfect square, you can just write that down right away. This is what we are trying to get to. I'm going to copy the first x. I'm going to copy whatever sign that is. I'm going to copy the number inside this parenthesis. Alright, that's how I would do it. I have x right over there, copy that sign, copy that thing. I will get to this -7 plus 9, which we can do over here. It's not too much problem. We are just going to go one more step. Just x plus 3 square is equal to 2. Alright, so completing the square up to this part is all about picking up the b divided by 2, square that, keep this somewhere you can see, and so you are adding this whole thing at the end of your original equation. And whenever you add it on the left hand side, you're going to add it on the right hand side, so subsequently you will end up with this. So we are getting there. We are not too bad. We are getting there. So as I said in the lesson, if we want to get rid of the square, remember that there's one place you're going to do a square root. When you're out of choices, you have no idea what to do, that's normally where you have the square root. Okay, you want to get rid of this square, so the opposite operation of a square is a square root. And so that will cancel out. So I left with this x plus 3 square root of 2. Alright, x plus 3 square root of 2. And in class, I already said that if you're square rooting something, you're going to get a plus, you're going to get a minus. That's how you actually get two different sides of the answers on this. All right, so square root of 2, it could be a decimal. We'll just find it. Can we just find that for you? Does this calculator come with a square root? I honestly don't know. Square root of 2. No, 2 square, let's do it. So it's 1.14. Okay, we are going to keep the 2 decimal places, 1.14. I'll write that down. So x plus 3 is equal to plus or minus 1.41. So when we get to the answer, finally, it's just follow, it actually follows other type of quadratic equation. When you get to the end, normally you'll get the x actually going two different directions. For the very first x is going to be equal to, I have to subtract 3 over here. Subtract 3 plus 1.41. And the other one is subtract 3 minus 1.41. So this group of numbers is not exactly nice. If you don't have to use a calculator, that's great. If you have to, use a calculator. Let's clear off this. Okay. Negative 3 plus 1.41, negative 1.5. There's a point over here. This is going to be negative 4.41. So that's actually the procedure of going through all of this. You are picking the first two items, you are going to break it into the perfect square, square root both sides, and then you're moving that 3 to the other side. Do we have enough time? Can I do one really quickly? Okay, this I don't think I'm gonna do another one. I don't think I have enough time. Don't feel like doing it. And I've been testing this program, so this video may be a little bit odd at the end. If you get to here, good for you. So I possibly will create another video and we'll give you another example. Alright, bye for now.